David Stark from WatcherPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today I'm joined by Steve Byrne, the writer and director of the all-new comedy movie, The Opening Act. We're going to talk to Steve in just a second, but first let's check out that trailer. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, it helps us out a lot and make sure our new videos go straight to you. Thank you.
Every time I go to a Chinese restaurant, all of my friends, they're like, Will, order in Mandarin, bro. They're going to hook it up. I'm like, bro, we're in Panda Express. Her name tag says Consuela on it. I don't think that's a Mandarin name. Look at the road ahead of me right now, and it's in a cubicle selling things I don't believe in.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Believe in. Hanford, California, Stephen Perry, Journey.
Yo! Pennsylvania Improv asked me if I could recommend a comic last minute. I said you, he said great.
Oh, wow.
Guess who's headlining?
Billy G.
1, 2, 3. Oh, Billy!
At an improv? That's a big deal.
If you want to make this more than a one-time thing, make the audience laugh.
I've been a little bit of a bummer lately, and my girlfriend said if I was a city, I would be like Seattle.
What is he doing?
Or,
He's
you know,
dying.
what if I really...
Who is this?
This is Will. He's emceeing this weekend. Super funny guy.
Yeah, he bombed. Bombed hard, too. Your ass should be on the TSA watch list.
I'm not like the macho guy. Like, I'm really good looking if you're into anime.
The thing about stand-up is that you have a chance to be better today than you was yesterday.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Will Chu!
Our guest tonight is a very funny man. You know him from Clubs and Colleges and the writer and director of the all-new film, The Opening Act. Please welcome my half-Asian brother, Steve Burr.
Yo, a fella hopper. Good to see you.
Yeah, it is great. I heard about that and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Because, yeah, I saw the film and then I was like, okay, so there's a lot of really good Asian jokes in here that relate to me. And
You saw the film?
Yeah, I did see the film, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and the writer's name is Steve Byrne. I was like, oh, that doesn't really match up. And then I looked at your picture. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Steve Byrne and David Stark, the two, very Asian people. So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was great to be a part of it and get to do it. And having Jimmy on board was just like a blessing in disguise, truly.
yeah, no, he was kind of perfect for it. He's he has that right, like, kind of awkwardish mentality he can put up, and he's really funny, but he also kind of can pull back when he needs to. I guess I'll jump to this question. This feels like a very personal movie that you had a lot of influence on. I mean, obviously you wrote it, and it feels like there was a lot of personal experiences in there. Did Jimmy kind of bring some of his own comedic points of view and Asian growth, into this film, into his character, or was that the kind of just take on what you wrote?
Yeah, I mean, he really did take on what I wrote, because the good news is that all the comics did this film. Even though my experiences are put up on celluloid on a big screen, they had an experience similar to what I had gone through. Not all of them ended up underneath a trailer while a couple of them was having sex while a guy's shooting a gun. That actually happened to me in North Carolina.
Oh,
The Bachelorette scene happened to me in Addison, Texas. The radio station incident happened to me on KLOS in Los Angeles. So all these things are culled from my real life. So all the comics have had an experience very similar to it, not exactly like mine. So it was very easy to go off of it. And I will say the only thing I didn't write was Jimmy's stand-up at the beginning of the film. The only stand-up I wrote in the whole film was the very last stand-up set that Jimmy does that pertains to everything in the movie. So that was the stand-up I had to write, and thank God it works, because if that scene doesn't work, the whole film doesn't work. So hats off to Jimmy for making it work,
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Like the entire film kind of builds to that moment, and it kind of lives or dies based on that. It's more than just his career. It's kind
But
of
we're not telling you if it worked or not. You got to watch for yourself.
Exactly. Oh, that's true. Yes, because you got to watch it for yourself and see.
That's right.
You should have made this. You should have put it like based on a true story or inspired by a true story. I always kind of love seeing that kind of stuff. Although I guess the experiences are universal, so it's not necessarily your story, even though does seem kind of to be your story.
Yeah, it definitely is my story. All those things are culled from it. And the good news is, I mean, it's got an amazing cast, but all the cast members that have seen it, that are in it, the ones that have screened it, like Bill Burr and Neal Brennan and Segura and, et cetera, they all call or text me the same three things. They say, I loved it. It was so authentic. And you just re-triggered all these horrible memories from the beginning of my career. I can't wait to see my therapist, you bastard. So I take that as a badge of honor.
No, that's great. And, after the film, you should see the film, and then you should stay after, because there are some kind of testimonials from the comedians involved that are just, they kind of put everything in context. It's a really, touching moment at the end where people kind of recount exactly what you said, recount their experiences and how they broke in and what it was like. And it kind of puts the whole film into context.
Yeah, the end credits was an idea I had towards the back half of the edit. I said, why don't we just, the whole film is about the journey, right? It's about a young comic's first foray. And at the beginning of the film, you see his last job before he becomes a professional comedian. And that's such a fun, pivotal, romantic period in every comic's life. Let's revisit it with the people that were in the film that know it best. And they're kind of recounting all the memories and all the facets of the narrative in the story itself. So it was a lot of fun to put that together. We actually have so much more, and I wish we had more time, but sometimes less is more is what you learn, right?
I don't know. I would have been perfectly happy if those testimonials went through the entire credits, but
yeah, Alonzo Bowden, for example, he worked security in a comedy club, but he was a touring. He toured with the Power Rangers, where he had to set up the sets and everything, and was working with Power Rangers, which I thought was kind of crazy. My last job was I was a waiter at the AGN restaurant, which is now closed in New York City on 73rd and Columbus. That was the last job I ever had before I became a professional stand-up comedian.
Where you went big time. I love that Ken Jeong, his statement is something like, I had a day job. Like, he was a medical doctor. Like he had quite a day job. And then...
quite an investment, but he's done quite well for himself, Ken Jeong. So very happy that Ken could be a part of this, because he was one of the first friends I had when I moved to Los Angeles. And as you may or may not know, I toured with the Kims of Comedy. It was me, Ken Jeong, Bobby Lee, and Kevin Shea. And one of my favorite memories of that tour was when Bobby and Ken Jeong almost got in a fist fight. And Kevin Shea pulled me aside. He said, hey, you should break this up. And I said, I'm not going to break up anything, because this will be the cutest fight I've ever seen in my entire life.
Or the most elaborate, right? Like it could have gone Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You just don't know.
That's true, but it would be like watching a puppy and a baby turtle like wrestle with each other. They're just so cute.
So speaking of the cast, this cast it's really kind of a who's who of comics. Like you'd see all these just fantastic stand-up comedians, and they all take on all the various roles in the film, not just the comedy aspects of it. So I guess how did you gather this cast? Did you have Jimmy first and then kind of pick everyone else up, or how did you kind of assemble this Avengers of comedy?
When I think about it, I'm like, where did I start? And I think the first call I made to was Bill Burr. I think Burr was the first one I called, and we've known each other for a long time. When I started in the New York comedy scene, if I was a freshman, he was a sophomore. So getting Bill on board was great, because he was a friend, but also lent credibility to the project. And once comics read it too, it made it a lot easier. But everybody from Jimmy O. Yang, Alex Moffat, Cedric the Entertainer, Whitney Cummings, Iliza Shlesinger, Angela Johnson, Kathleen Madigan, Bill Burr, Ken Jeong, Tom Segura, Neal Brennan, Roy Wood Jr., Felipe Esparza, and so many Roy Wood Jr., so many that I haven't even mentioned. A lot of these was just picking up the phone and like, I got to cast a skanky looking cop. Hey, Segura, can you be a skanky cop? Because you kind of look like, he's like, yeah, of course. So it really worked out. And that was the fun in it. And when I had the actors on set, the comics on set, I didn't have to explain to them as actors what it's like for a comic to do morning radio for the first time. When Russell, Iliza, and Brooks were there, it was like, you've been in this situation. Nobody knows the situation better than you. So let's have fun with this. And we were off to the races for the most part with all the scenes.
Yeah, that radio show was interesting. I love Russell Peters. I saw a video of him years ago and just kind of fell in love with his just outgoing nature. And then to cast him as kind of a serious radio DJ was it was an odd choice, but it definitely worked. It was I kind of was waiting for him to bust out into jokes, but he kind of kept his persona perfectly.
Yeah, he was great, and he's a joy to work with, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in comedy. So to see him lose his temper like he does, that was a lot of fun. And that shot of him when the guys are in their car and they're hearing Russell and company kind of trash Jimmy's experience on the radio, that was a nod off of a scene in The Warriors. So in The Warriors, they do a part where the guy's on the radio and he's talking, and they did a close up of the lips and the microphone, and we kind of stole the aesthetic from The Warriors in that moment.
Inspired by, not stolen, inspired by.
Inspired by, that's right, yeah.
You mentioned that was based on a KLOS experience. Yeah, was that like Kevin and Bean? Was that their show or?
No, Frank, Heidi, and Frosty.
Oh.
I did it, and I'm friends with them now, so I can talk about it. But yeah, I was on their show. They gave me the boot, and it all plays out in real time, as you saw in the film.
You're right. Okay, yeah, because Kevin and Bean are K-Rock. Yeah, Heidi, Frosty, and Frank. I haven't thought about them in years. I grew up in Southern California, so I'd listen to them, every morning on my way to school.
Yeah, I'm going to go do their show Friday morning and show them this scene, and hopefully they don't kick me out of the studio for a second time. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find. I wonder if they have the audio still. I don't know if the archives would have that. But
I don't want to hear that. That was my second time ever doing radio. It's the last thing I ever want to hear.
So with all these comics in various roles, serious roles, was it tough for them to kind of go in, like kind of stay in that lane, or does it you said that they all kind of remembered that and kind of knew what that was like, so was it kind of just fun for them to play that role, or was it tough for them to stay in that lane?
Yeah, it was. I would say, look, 95% of the film is scripted. It's all based off the script. We had very little improv going on. There's definitely lines that were improv that made my dialogue better, for sure. But I was really keen on making sure we stick to the narrative, because it's a puzzle. It's all got to stick together. And if it doesn't, then the ending doesn't pay off as much as you want it to. So I tried to not have everybody stray too far.
And the two of the biggest names attached to this film, Vince Vaughn and Pete Billingsley, is that right?
Yep.
How did they get involved, and what was their contribution? Because they weren't in the film proper, so I was kind of waiting to see a cameo, a la some of the old Vince Vaughn movies. But
yeah, Vince, Peter, and I have been best friends for the last 15 years. So we did Sullivan and Son together. We did this film together. They were two of the first guys I met in Los Angeles. Vince was doing the Wild West comedy documentary at the time, and they did some follow-up shows, and I just moved to LA from New York. And one of the guys got sick, so I did the show. It was in front of 2,000 people. Jennifer Aniston's in the front row. I'm nervous as all heck. I'd never met Vince Vaughn before. He starts the show. He walks out. Hi, I'm Vince Vaughn. Welcome to the Wild West Comedy Show. We're going to get the show started. You're going to have a good time with some great comics. Here's one of them, Steve. I mean, that's how the show starts. Not even like 10 minutes, not even getting it. Just he's on stage for 30 seconds. These people spent $200 to see Vince Vaughn, and now they're seeing an Asian Kevin Spacey. So I walk out there, and I get a standing ovation at the end. And Vince and Peter are just like, who the hell is this guy? And then 3 weeks later, I'm in Costa Rica with them, and we've been best pals ever since. So that's how it started. And I turned in the script to them just as a whim, just like I wrote the film just to see if I could write a screenplay, turned it in. They said, there's some good bones here. We worked on the script for 6 to 8 months, and then we took it out to market. It got financed really quickly, and next thing I know, we're making it. And it's been 4.5 years all in.
Wow, 4.5 years from the original script to kind of the release.
Yeah.
That is a journey, and yeah, I can't imagine just editing for 6 to 8 months, stuff that your personal experiences. I know it probably must have been a kind of a painful process to cut and rewrite and all that stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't fun cutting, like truncating Angela Johnson, for example. We really slimmed down her scene, and she was so funny. But what we were learning is that the incident that happens Thursday, it was becoming redundant to the scene Friday. So we wanted to just kind of get the greatest hits of that scene and get out and get Jimmy back to the condo. And just lessons learned from test screenings.
And then I noticed you didn't, you already were wearing a ton of hats, writer and director. And, I know noticed you didn't include a role for yourself. Was that also intentional? Not even just like a little cameo or something?
No cameo for me this time, because I thought, I have so many responsibilities to making sure that this film goes well. There's no need for me to take a victory lap before the film's even done. So if I do a good enough job with this one, hopefully I'll get another shot and I'll put myself in the next one. But this one, I was just solely focused on making sure I didn't blow this opportunity.
Yeah, that makes sense. This was your first time directing pretty much any movie, right? You just kind of
I had done a documentary on comic magician, The Amazing Jonathan, that was released 2 years ago. And that's on YouTube. It's for free. It's called Always Amazing. And it's a great film about Jonathan's career, his legacy. He's one of my favorites, the Freddy Krueger of comedy, and this fraternal relationship that developed over the years with a young comic he took under his wing from the age of 12. So it's a great, great film. And I think the similarities between Always Amazing and the opening act is that there's a lot of heart in the film, and there's a fraternal bond between Billy G and Will, and The Amazing Jonathan and Joel Osborne. So that film was, as much as it's a documentary, this is a feature, I learned a lot about the relationship in the edit on Always Amazing that helped, and I was able to apply in this one.
yeah, definitely. You're kind of, taking someone's life and putting it into a film, and then this is similar. You got to get all their backstory in, have their experience, have a meaningful story, and you kind of leave the audience,
Exactly, yeah.
with some feeling. We'll
Yeah.
watch it to find out what feeling that
Hopefully,
is.
Yeah.
So, I imagine with the editing process, there must have been a lot of, outtakes, scenes cut, things like that. Is there any hope that that will see the light of day? I'd love to see more of the testimonials, pretty much anything. Like it's such a fun movie to watch.
I don't know. I do know that like when you buy the film, right? When you buy it, there are bonus features. There's a making of, and then like a journey to, and the journey to interviews a lot of the comics along the way as to their journey to make it in stand-up comedy. And they're both really actually fun bonus features to watch. I would love to have gotten Angela Johnson's scene in there. There's a lot of outtakes from Bill Burr's office scenes that he had some fucking funny lines, but we couldn't put him in because Bill was becoming too likable, and you need a sense of stakes. So when he leaves that job, he really goes all in. But if the job was fun and the boss was great and he made you laugh, then you don't feel so bad if things don't work out because he can go back to that fun job. So we had to truncate Bill Burr. It's a shame that I had to neuter Bill Burr a bit, but man, there's some great stuff. And yeah, eventually I'd love to show those things. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that was such a great like Office Space kind of callback. Just some of the things, and Jimmy's reaction to them was perfect. So
yeah, even Tom Segura, he pulled up in the cop car, and in the film he said something pretty randy, I would say, and off-putting, but it was so funny we kept it in. And there was 3 or 4 other takes where he said some crazy shit on that police CB with the speakers over the car, and maybe one day we'll get to put those out too. There's a lot of great stuff that got left on the floor for sure.
Awesome. I heard in another interview that you filmed this in Brea, California, which I was surprised at because I've talked to a couple other independent filmmakers, and just filming in California and LA specifically is just such a difficult proposition, expense-wise, permit-wise. So, I guess what was the motivation for that? Is it easier to get everyone over to film there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly made calling up my friends a lot easier to spend the day with me, but also the Brea Improv was the one functioning comedy club that was within the 30-mile zone. So you get all these tax breaks with filming. So fortunately for us, the old Brea Improv was closing down and they were opening a new Brea Improv. And when I mentioned it to Robert Hartman, who oversees a lot of the improv comedy clubs, he said, oh, you know what? We're closing the old Brea Improv in June, so you can use it in July. And that sped up our production. We based our whole production off of the fact that we actually had a working comedy club, because otherwise we'd have to film at a comedy club and wait for them to clear out. And we'd start filming at 2 in the morning and go till like 10 in the morning. I have to black out windows and stuff. And we were able to shoot, like a normal day with a great club, because that was my one thing. I love the Big Sick, for example, but that comedy club in there, it never felt like a comedy club to me. It felt like a bar that happened to have comedy on the weekends, maybe. Mm-hmm. So there was no sense to me that I ever felt like I was in a comedy club. And our comedy club in this film, I feel like it feels like a Yankee Stadium. When you walk in, you're like, wow, this is the big time. This is what it's like for a young comic. This is what your aspirations are towards.
Yeah, no, definitely. And did you ever have any confused patrons kind of walk into the old Brea Comedy Club?
We did, actually. When we were filming, people would come up and, especially on like a Friday. I remember somebody was coming up to see Dana Carvey, and they go, is this where Dana Carvey's performing? I go, no, it's 1 block away. And then I they said, "What's going on here?" I said, "Oh, we're filming a movie." And then I was just like, "Holy shit, Dana Carvey's next door." So I ran out the back of the Brea Improv, ran over the new Brea Improv, and introduced myself to Dana Carvey. And he knew who I was, which I was very surprised by. So that was very flattering. And I got to meet him and his sons who do stand up with him. And that was one of those cool moments in my life where I was like, "Man, Dana Carvey know who I am." That's crazy.
Awesome. Did you were like, yeah, but we got Cedric the Entertainer, we got Alex Moffat.
Well, we had reached out to him initially to do something in the film, and he turned it down. So he just wished us luck, and hopefully he sees it and likes it.
Yeah, I think anyone that does stand up is going to see this, and after the pain and therapy, as you said, passes, they'll probably like
That's right. Yeah.
So this, one thing I appreciate about this in my review is that, this film, it's about a stand-up comedian, but it has a lot of messages that are applicable, pretty universally to anyone that kind of wants to pursue their dreams. It takes hard work, it takes sacrifice. There's the harsh realization that you might burn, you might not be good at it. So, I liked all those messages, and I liked kind of the universal feel of it. I know it's drawn from your personal experiences, but do you have was there any impetus of that when you were making this film, or was it just kind of, this is my personal journey, and the messages kind of came from that?
I think it's important to give yourself the opportunity to at least try your dream. I mean, when this film was coming out and we were putting together the trailer, I was like, boy, if we could afford it, why not use lyrics from Caution, the new song by the Killers? Because there's a great line in that song where he says, Brandon Flowers says, "It's some kind of sin to live your whole life on a might have been." And I just thought, that's what the film's really about. It's about taking that chance. It's about taking that leap of faith and believing in yourself. And at least if you did it, if you attempted it, if you gave it your all, years later, if you did end up in a cubicle, at least you'd know. You could go to bed at night knowing you tried your best and you gave it a shot. And I think even with this industry, as a stand-up comedian myself, all these years in it, like, it's never easy. You're constantly clawing your way through it. I've never been cast in anything. I've had to write my own TV show to get a TV show. I had to write my own film to be associated with a film. So I think I gave myself the opportunity to say, you know what, if you want to see a great film about stand-up, don't wait to be cast in it. Maybe write it. And so I think I did. I think I wrote and directed the best film about stand-up comedy. I will go on record saying that. I think nothing else encapsulates the journey at the very beginning like this film.
Oh, definitely. That's such a great message. You kind of didn't rest on your laurels. You were a professional stand-up comedian, and you kind of wanted more, so you just went out and did it yourself. It's a really important message for anyone that's kind of, trying to improve or, pursue something that they love.
Yeah, even if it never made it to the screen, at least I had it in script form, and I could go back years later and tell my kids, this is the best thing I ever wrote. Read this. This was my life. This encapsulated my 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Hopefully your kids are relatively old when they read this.
Well, yeah. Well, my kids are actually in the film. When Jimmy's in the park working on his Sunday set, there's a woman that walks by with two kids, and they stop and stare at Jimmy like, this kid's crazy. And those are my kids.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't, I remember that scene, and I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's my wife that walks by, and she didn't want to be on camera, so we cropped her down, and then we put my kids in there.
So do they have acting credits now? Do they have to become SAG actors?
Fuck no. God, if they tell me they want headshots, just where's the, ugh. Please no. I don't want them to pursue this unless they really want to. And if they do, I'll be supportive. But as I'm sure you know and privy to it, it's a pretty difficult, cutthroat business.
Yeah, no, I agree. I talked to a lot of indie filmmakers, and it's tough to get your film made. It's tough to get the budget. It's tough to kind of promote it. It's kind of every step feels like a difficult step, and they just do it because they love it and they want to, essentially do what you did, to prove that they can succeed.
Yeah, tell a story. I mean, at the end of the day, I think this story is worth telling. I think it's worth people realizing how difficult and how synonymous failure is with this profession at the very beginning of anybody's career in stand-up. You're constantly dealing with failure, and Jimmy gets his teeth kicked in quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah, those are painful scenes, but important nonetheless. The path to success that is kind of laid out here is, you start with openings, and you have your own stand-up show, then you try to go to a big market. Is that still, is that kind of how you broke in, and kind of became a professional stand-up comedian? Is that still the case today?
I started in New York City. So I was running around the city for 7 years doing 15-minute sets, making my rent. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, it was like New York, New York. It was like, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I thought, I've done it. I've made it in New York. I have a degree in stand-up comedy from the Comedy Cellar and all these great clubs and working with all the great comics. And I just wanted more. I didn't want just the city. I wanted the country. So that was my goal. I moved out to LA, and then I started doing clubs and headlining. And then the next step is trying to get something that people can associate with you so that they want to pay tickets and come see you. And that's how Sullivan and Son and the Hour specials came out. And now I think it's funny, you try to do an hour special that will define you. And I think the thing that will define my career and my name will be something I'm not even in. But I'm okay with that. I'm really proud of the work that went into this film. And it's also great to know that I can look at a poster and go, I made that with my best friends. That's fucking fun.
That's an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
So I heard clubs. Do you have colleges too that you pulled into?
I did clubs and colleges, right? I did colleges early on in my career, and I'm older now. And colleges, the PC culture on colleges, the censorship they want to impose, I think there's just no fun in it. So why even bother going to a college and telling jokes when you're going to get written up and considered a misogynist or racist or whatever, when these kids just don't understand? It's like, no, it's just real life. And we are the world's great experiment, e pluribus unum, out of many one. We have people from all over the globe coming here with different backgrounds and factions. And if we can't make fun of each other, I don't know what we can do. I mean, it's gotten so tribal lately. I'm not tribal. I'm sure you're half Asian as much as I am, but I'm constantly tethered between being Korean and Irish. And I just say, the hell with it. I live under the banner of the flag, and that's my tribe. And if anybody could aspire to that, I think you'd lose a lot more division and we'd be a lot more unified.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think especially if you're going to some sort of, comedy show, like there's a certain amount of, disbelief is the wrong word, but at least, a certain amount of buffer that you have with areas that the comic can enter that are kind of outside the normal realms of society, because that's the whole point. You're supposed to make observations and things that maybe people find funny, or they wouldn't say out loud, but when they think about it, they're like, oh yeah, that is odd. So
yeah, it's funny because I grew up thinking Animal House is what college is like, and nowadays it's the complete opposite. It's like, oh, we can't do that, that would hurt someone's feelings. It's like, fucking hey, get on with it.
Well, I don't know if you saw the USC story about the
linguistics
professor. Was just an embarrassing story. And just
Niga, which
yeah,
in Chinese is it's synonymous with like it's just something you say on an everyday basis. And I find it ridiculous that somebody lost their job over that.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. So the pursuit, I guess the way to go up in the industry, has that changed now that, I guess there's more social media, TikTok, streaming, things like that? Are people kind of trying to break in without doing the, traditional clubs and whatnot?
Yeah, I think you could always do clubs. That's where you prove your mettle. But these days, for sure, I think in casting, networks look at social media, your social media footprint, which is a shame because in the, anywhere from the 40s up until the early 2000s, you just rested on your laurels, hard work and talent. And that's what got you in the door. And now if you're good at lip syncing the president, you can get an hour special on Netflix, which I think is fucking mental. But who am I to say? I don't run the industry.
It's interesting you say that. I talked to George Janko for another movie, and he's a social media YouTube star, and he said whenever he would go into a casting, they would kind of put him in a bucket of like social media star. So he would get in there, but he would never be taken seriously because he was a social media star. I wonder if that's maybe that's changing as more and more people are going that way.
I don't know. I'm sure there's talented people on social media. I just think that with comedy, you're doing it the old-fashioned way. You're doing it through sweat equity. You're going up, you're taking chances, you're failing, you're bombing, and you're really developing a sincere talent. I think I would, I can't imagine Dave Chappelle, as wonderful of a voice as he is, I can't imagine him making TikTok videos and having the same impact as he would putting a microphone in his hand and a cigarette in the other, and him pontificating on the riches and trials and tribulations of life. It's just like, I don't know. They're two different art forms. I get it. it's a day and age where you can make money on it. Why not? I'm not going to slag anybody for making money, but just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. No, there does feel like there is some, there's a certain amount of, you know, personal strength you have to get from getting up there and doing it in front of people and reacting and kind of playing the crowd. Like all of that is just something that you can't really teach if it's scripted or if it's if it's something that you don't have that interaction. So
yeah, you need it. You need the interaction. I think that's the good thing about performing is that we yearn for that interaction of taking pen to paper, writing something, and then taking it out there and seeing if you can just make a group of strangers laugh. I mean, it's the greatest challenge. It really is. I love it.
And so you mentioned this is about a 4.5-year journey. I guess I don't remember. I don't know when this film was supposed to originally come out, but has the schedule changed due to COVID? Has COVID kind of thrown a wrench in this whole process for you?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, you don't get many opportunities as an Asian American in entertainment. There's so few roles for somebody that's mixed like me. And even the fact that we have this film coming out, written, directed by an Asian American, starring an Asian American, co-starring an Asian American, and one of the most diverse casts I've ever seen in terms of a poster. And you look at all this and we can't get on a late night talk show to promote the film. And they'll have a stand-up comic on this week, but they won't have anybody. It's just, to me, it's mind-blowing. So I'll keep trying to create my own opportunities. I'll keep trying to do what I can. But, it just is what it is, I guess, right? The only thing that matters at the end of the day is that people watch it, people enjoy it, and that's all that. It doesn't matter how people hear about it. So that's why I'm doing all the podcasts and radio I can to let everybody know about it. But it's a damn shame that these talk shows preach progressive values, but they don't instill them.
It's kind of crazy because there aren't a ton of movies coming out. So this movie's coming to theaters where they're open and also digitally and on demand. You'd think that a talk show would want to talk about something that is coming out that's big that people can kind of look forward to.
Yeah, you think somebody like Ellen DeGeneres, a former stand-up comedian, Trevor Noah, a former stand-up comedian. You go down the line of all of them. I'm just kind of dumbfounded. When I had 3 seasons of Sullivan and Son, we were the second Asian American sitcom ever on the air after Margaret Cho. And the third season, I had third season of Sullivan coming out, my 3rd-hour special coming out. Nobody would have me on. I'm not saying that they're racist. Maybe it's just me. I don't know what it is, but I find it fascinating in this day and age where there's so few Asian Americans in the entertainment industry that are spearheading and doing their own things. Why wouldn't you open the door and be more inclusive to those individuals?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it is something that is, an anomaly in the entertainment industry still. So you'd think that if someone's doing it and you've got a comedian who's also directing and Asian American, that might be an avenue that a talk show would want to talk about and just explore.
Yeah.
So, I guess speaking of COVID, you got your start in stand up. A lot of the comedians got their start in stand up. What's the industry like? With the whole COVID situation, or clubs? Are they shut down? Are they moving online? I guess what is the scene like now, and how do people kind of cut their teeth now?
Most clubs are closed. There's some outdoor shows that are available, but we're heading into winter where it's going to be colder. It's going to be snowing. It's going to be raining a lot. It's going to be bad. So I think a lot of the outdoor shows you're seeing are going to be shut down. A lot of the drive-in shows you're going to see are going to get shut down. And I'm just hoping to God that after this election, we can get back to normal. That's what I'm hoping. Who knows what's going to happen, but I really think the election is going to sway how this plays out.
The election will do a lot. We'll see what happens. Yep. Yeah, who knows? All right. So now I'd like to move into, I call it the lightning round. It's just kind of short, lightweight questions based on the movie or your experiences. Some of these you've already answered, so I guess I'll have to try to skip and change that up. You mentioned your first stand-up performance was just a random opening with Vince Vaughn. That sounds like a very lucky break. Is that was your first time doing stand-up, or?
No, the first time I did stand-up was September 30th, 1997. And I always tell people the first time I did stand-up was like the first time I had sex. It was quick. I was emotional and cried afterwards, and I couldn't wait to do it again. So that's really how it went. And I was just instantly hooked. That was the first time I did stand-up.
And you had what, like 2-3 minutes? Is that right?
I had 4 minutes, and 3.5 of it was horrible.
So just like the first time you had sex, perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
What was your, I guess, biggest comedic bomb, or if there's a range, let's hear a
There's
few.
so many. There's so many. There was one time I was doing so bad on stage. This is like 2 years in. I was getting heckled. I tried to heckle them back. It wasn't going well. They were heckling me back. And then one of the guys chucked a bar stool across the room, and it split open my head. And I got 8 staples in the back of my head. It was on my birthday, too. And the next day I showed up at the comic strip. I wasn't going to be dissuaded. I was going to come back the next day. And all the comics, as soon as I walk in, they go, "Hey, it's the chairman, everybody." They call me the chairman. They taped staples to my head on my headshot. So, yeah, comics are pretty awful, but they're the best at the same time.
Yeah, it sounds like it almost sounds like a family, right? Like your brothers and sisters are gonna rib you, but they'll still like look out for you and care for you.
It's very communal, for sure.
What's been your best comedic show?
The best show I've ever done? Jesus. I've had some good ones, but I don't think I've had my best one yet. And I'm talking in totality of my hour special. So once this film's done and out, I'm going to film this next hour, and it's going to be my best one. I know for a fact it is. It's the best written. It has a purpose. It's fucking airtight. I've been working on it for 4 years, and it's the fucking best hour I've done. So I'm really excited for it to come out.
Let's hear more about it, unless you don't want to talk about it until it's out.
Yeah, I'm going to do a talk show, but I'm the only one on the talk show. So I come out, I do 20 minutes of monologue jokes. I'll sit by the desk. I'll do 20 minutes of panel, which is storytelling. And then I'll move to traditional stand-up by the band. So it'll look like I'm on a talk show, but I'm the only one on the talk show. And it's 3 different styles of writing: monologue, storytelling, and stand-up.
I'm trying to picture how it'll work, but it sounds interesting. I'm excited to see it. And, that this is a sad truth that this is the way that you're going to get up on a talk show, because apparently no one will book you right now.
That's right. I got to make my own, just like I had to make my own film and own my own talk show. So yeah.
I'd watch that show. That sounds fun.
Sweet.
Have you been to the Warhol Museum? It came up multiple times.
Well, the reason that's in there is because every comic, you'll go to San Antonio, and you always say to each other, all the comics will go, "We got to go to the Alamo. Let's go tomorrow." And you end up drinking. You end up staying way too late, and you don't go to the Alamo. And every day you wake up, you go, "We got to go check out that Alamo," and you just never go. And that's really the point of that, of Alex, in showing that he's not the most professionally motivated, but it's an example of something every comic hears on the road. "Oh, we got to go check out the St. Louis Arch." You're never going to go. You rarely go.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they'll watch to see if they ever go to the Warhol Museum.
That's right.
What's I guess one of the things I really liked is when Cedric the Entertainer was going through the best places, and you mentioned Ben's Chili Bowl in DC, which is a favorite of mine. Were those all kind of you wrote it, so I guess were those your personal best spots?
Those were all my hot spots. There was one Alex didn't remember when we got the take we wanted, and that was Las Vegas, the Peppermill, because I loved going to the Peppermill in Las Vegas. Yeah, there's certain spots as soon as I get in the city, it's like, I got to go to Gino's as soon as I land in Philly. It's the first meal. You get off that plane, it's like, I got to get dinner before the show, and I go to Gino's. And it's like all those little things you leave along the way to make the road a little bit easier for you.
What's your go-to place in LA?
Carney's on Sunset next to the Comedy Store. I love their hot dogs, their French fries, the old school shoestrings that you used to get at Burger King, and they carry them there. And I could have 2 hot dogs and a Coke and some fries, and then I'll go do my set, and I'll feel like $1 million. Then I'll get home and I'll feel like shit. But
yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess part of this film is it's kind of a film about sacrifice and getting advice from people. What's the best piece of comedic advice you received?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of advice I've taken. There's a lot of advice I've given, because now I am Billy G. But Billy G is named after Billy Gardell, who's on Mike and Molly and Bob Loves Abishola. And he had this great line he told me years ago, and it always stuck in my head like a one-hit wonder. And I'm glad it's in the film. It's one of the best lines in the film. And Billy G says to Will, "When I was younger, I used to think I have to make the audience laugh so I feel good. Now I know I make the audience laugh so they feel good. It's the best job in the world." And I always remember that, and it changed the way I thought about stand-up, and I thank Gardell for that, and I thank Gardell for all of his mentorship and and kind knowledge nuggets along the way. He's been nothing short of just a miracle for me.
That is really great advice. It's definitely, you could make yourself laugh the entire time. If the crowd doesn't feel that they're not gonna, remember you, or they're not gonna like want to go see you again. So
that's right. Yeah.
So this film also kind of had competing comedic processes between Will and Chris. Will was more of a thinker, of a planner. Chris was just kind of more of a kind of off the cuff riffer. What's your comedic process like, and how do you go about finding jokes, testing jokes?
When I was younger, that's why I put that in. That's based off a conversation I had with Mike Birbiglia. He said, "Oh, I have to write everything. I have to write every single detail down." I was like, "Not me. I just go up and I work it out. I talk it out." And there's still elements of that are true for me, but I definitely have written a lot more than when I was younger. When I was younger, I replaced writing with energy, and now I've replaced written word with energy, and I'm a lot more grounded. And that just comes with time and experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. I listened to one of your podcasts where you said, I think after 22 years of doing stand-up, you finally think that you're a great comedian, which is an insane process. Like, I can't even imagine honing a craft for 22 years. I feel amazing.
Like invincible on stage. It's the one facet of my life where I go up on stage and I'm like, you throw anything at me, throw a heckler at me, throw me in any situation, I'm ready to go. I can do improv. I can do crowd work. I can go off the cuff. I can do greatest hits. I can do new material. It's just like, I finally feel like I'm at a point where I'm really great at my job,
That's awesome. That must be a great feeling. And then you decide, you know what? I don't want to feel comfortable anymore. I want to direct a film and try something.
Right, yeah. I want to put back in the ringer. But this was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done professionally. I thank Peter and Vince for that, for sure.
Yeah, that definitely was a really fun experience. What was your him from credit before you kind of had credits?
I've never been somebody that's famous. I'm familiar. So everywhere I go, I'll be on a plane. I'll be at a restaurant, and somebody will always say, "I know you from somewhere." That happened with Sam Rockwell. I was out with Vince one night, and Sam Rockwell's like, "I know you from somewhere," and I was like, "Oh God, please let this be good." But when it's just normal people, I always say the same thing. I don't know how you know me, but I hope it's good, because the few times I've answered the question, it's backfired. I remember this one woman at an airport. She said, "I know you." I'm like, "Well, I had a television show for 3 seasons on TBS called Sullivan's Son." She goes, "No, that's not it." I go, "I've done the Tonight Show a bunch of times." She goes, "That's not it." I go, "I've had some hour specials on Comedy Central. I'm a comedian." She goes, "That's not it." I'm like, "Well, I just don't know." She goes, "Did you work at Geek Squad?" I'm like, "Fuck it. I'm done. I never answered the question again." That was the one for me. I'm done. Fuck it. I don't care how you know me.
Well, I mean, did you?
No, but if this pandemic drags out long enough, I might put in an application for sure.
I mean, I definitely know the pain. I'm not famous in any respect, but a couple times at jobs I've been confused for the IT, and
There you go.
I know technology. I like to help, but it's not really my job. So do you bring your own shampoo now when you tour?
I do bring my own shampoo when I tour, yeah, because the comics do jizz in the shampoo left in the condo. But also, I'm a headliner, so I don't have to stay in the condo as much as that anymore. So I always request a nice hotel room.
No, that makes perfect sense, and that's I guess just like family, right? Just like family.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
What's your favorite donut?
Glazed.
All right.
Easy.
Very very plain Asian. Okay.
Meat and potatoes. That's right. Yeah. I don't want kimchi on it. Yeah, it's breakfast.
I don't know, kimchi or a bulgogi beef donut. I could get behind.
I could get behind that.
Do you dip your fries in ranch?
It depends. If they're steak fries, yes. If they're McDonald's, hell no. McDonald's fries are in its purest form by itself is great. With ketchup, I'll take it. In and out, sure, with ketchup. Steak fries or like really thicker fries, I'll dip in ranch. Otherwise, it's blasphemous.
And do you pay for extra ranch, or do you just make do?
Always. Fuck yeah.
All right. Big
I
time.
think my blood type is ranch.
And so did your mother want you to be a doctor, lawyer, or an engineer?
Oh, God. Well, classic Asian mom. Sure, she was shooting for the stars, but it did not happen. She got her son telling dick jokes. But I'll tell you, it all came full circle when she saw herself being portrayed on Sullivan and Son. That's when she was like, "Okay, you finally made it." So it was nice.
And she liked that portrayal, or?
She did like that portrayal, very much so. Although she did say, "When do I get my kickback?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "It's named Okja. Shouldn't I get some money for that?" I go, "No, it's based on you. It's a character's name." She goes, "Could I take you to court?" I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here? You're my mom. No, you can't take me to court."
You should also explain to her that you could take her into court, but then after years of litigation, you're not going to make any
You're not
money.
going to make any money anyways. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll drag it out.
My favorite Asian story is I was at the investiture of a judge, and after he got confirmed as a judge, he turned to his Chinese mother-in-law and said, "So am I good enough for your daughter now?" And they nodded and said yes.
Finally, yeah, exactly. High standards.
So I guess what's next for you? You mentioned you're going to film this comedy special. Anything else going on other than obviously promoting the film?
Yeah, I'll hit the road. I'll do some dates when clubs open up again. I just wrote my next feature, so we'll see. Hopefully, I get another crack at it, and yeah, go back on the road, make people laugh, and go up to the comedy store and see my friends, and just go on with my life, and watch my kids grow older, hug my wife, and see what happens.
Sounds like a good plan. Is your next feature called The Headliner or the?
No, I did think about it. I was like, boy, if this film did well, I would do the feature act and then do the close out the trilogy with the headliner. So you could focus on Alex, then you could focus on Cedric and see the different echelons, the totem pole. But who knows? Right now, I just want this film to do well, and I hope people enjoy it.
Well, I hope it does well too. I enjoyed it greatly. The reviews on the website, it was just such a very kind of funny personal story, and it has a lot of hilarious moments, but there's also just a ton of heart that I really kind of appreciate.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate you having me on today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for joining me.
All right, we'll do it again down the line, hopefully. Take care,
Sounds
bud.
good. Take care. Bye-bye. That was Steve Byrne, the writer and director of the all-new comedy film, The Opening Act. It's debuting on Friday, October 16th in theaters, on demand, and digital, so you can check it out in theaters or rent it and watch it at home if you like. It's a really funny film. It's a very personal journey, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It kind of applies, even if you're not a stand-up comedian, it applies to kind of anyone pursuing their dreams. If you liked this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps us out a lot and make sure our new videos go straight to you. And as always, please go to watcherpass.com for all your movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Thank you.